I am Dr. Tan. So today we will going to continue our Lab 7. Okay, so we will slightly going to switch the topics so that when you move into the network address applications and service applications topic, you will be more familiar on how to apply the ACL, or we call it as a access control list. So during the class, we have went through what is a access control list and the in which application scenario that we were going to apply the access control list. So basically, you also went through 5 types of the ACL. Okay, on your syllabus, most of the times for the fundamentals, you need to be familiar with the basic, okay, ACL, okay, which starting from the ACL number 2000 until 2999, and also you have went through the advanced ACL, okay, which you need to determine to control the traffic based on the destinations, based on the protocol types, and based on the port number. So you were going to select its advanced ACL configurations. And also, if you are going to want to control based on the MAC address, so that means you have to apply the layer 2 ACL. And then also, if you are involved a certain user group defined, so you have to using a user defines. But on this labs hands-on, we were going to basically apply the advanced ACL. That means we were going to involve the ACL number. Okay, it should be between 3000 until 3999. Okay, so basically on this lab, we were going to follow the topology. Okay, based on this involve a 3 router. We are going to match the router 1 is a client and router 3 is a telnet server. And also the router 1, we were going to set up a 2 loopback interface, virtual interface, to serve as a clients. Okay, so that they can go into to simulate 2 clients, so that they can go into access the telnet server. Okay, one of the user loopback 1 of the router 1 needs to remotely manage the router 3. So you can configure the telnet on the server. And then you need to configure also the password protections and also to configure the ACL to ensure that only the user that meets the security policy can log in into a router 3. Okay, so we are wasting the time. Just going to open your ENSP. So maybe this one I going to redo the new one. Okay, based on the topology. This one. Okay, so I think for those you are familiar, okay, you can go into start to drop your routers. Okay, so we were going to using a router 222. Okay, router 1, router 2, and router 3. Okay, so this one you can go into connects, okay, the copper. So this one you can go into select 00, connect to a 00. It depends on you, 001 to 001. Okay, so you can go into select all. Hit start your devices without wasting the times. Okay, try to rename your devices. So this one, same like normally what we have done is you make sure you're going to define based on your normal metric 22 or 33 router 1. So this one you name it as a BI23. Okay, router 3. And then this one you name it as a normal metric. Okay, router 2. So now on this router, just now we mentioned router 1, we were going to make it as a telnet client. Okay. Then on here, we were going to make it as a telnet server. Okay. And hence we were going to make a 2 loopback interface. Okay. To simulate how actually the user will be connected, and we assign the IP address 10.1.1/24. Okay, then we're going to build another one loopback interface. We make it as a loopback 1. So this one we're using follow 4.1. Then after that, for the G00, we will go into using the IP address, assigns the IP address 10.1.2.1, sorry, that's 24. Okay, we will go into using on here 10.1.2.2, something that's 24. Okay, 10.1.3.2, something that's 24 again. Point 10.1.3.1 slash 24. Okay, so this one is on our topology. Okay, but based on the requirements, we were going to apply assigns the routing protocol OSPF and assigns all the devices belong to a OSPF area 0. So you can go into select all. Okay, highlight. Then you mentions, oh, this one it will be grouped under the area 0. Area 0, that means is your backbone. Okay, backbone interface. Okay, so we will go into doing the configurations based on the step-by-step law. Always the first step you need to do is to configure the IP address. Okay, this one we have went through a 7 exercise already. So make sure you know how to configure the IP address on each of the interface. So after we configure the IP address, make sure you will going to create the OSPF. Okay, you're going to define the it should be the area 0, and then you're going to add all your network into your OSPF. Then after that, we will going to define our ACL. Okay, to base on the requirements. Okay, what actually you need to do. Okay, so this one they will mention the user. Okay, will be remotely to manage the router 3. So you allow the router 1, okay, to access the router 3, but went through a router 2. Okay, so you need to configure the ACL to ensure only the user that meets the security policy, they can go into log in into a router 3. Then after that, you will go into, after you define your ACL, that means you need to byte your ACL to do the traffic filtering. So you need to configure or byte, or we can say configure also the traffic filtering. Okay, so now you can directly go into start all the devices. Okay, router 1, router 2. I move the router 1 inside here. Okay, so sys always going to enter the system view. Name your router name as the same, normal metric and router 1. Okay, this one is your router 2. So enter system view, sysname bi23, name as a router 2. Router 3, sysname. Okay, so without wasting the time, we're doing the router 1. You will going to assign router 1, you total have a 3 interface. So you need to enter a 3 interface. First one, we enter G00. Okay, so we assign the IP address 10.1.2.1.24. Okay, make sure you create. Then you enter the interface of the loop back 0. Okay, then you're going to assign the IP address. Loopback 0 is a 10.1.1.24. So quit. Okay, enter again the loopback 1. Okay, loopback 1 IP address. So you are going to assign the IP address is a 10.1.4.1.24. So quit it. Okay, you can display this or display current configurations to check whether you have assigned the IP address correctly. So you check G00, you assign the IP address. Okay, then you assign on your loopback 0, 10.1 and loopback 1, 4.1. So after you done it, move to your seconds. Okay, move to your second revises router 2. So inside the router 2, you got two interface. Okay, enter interface G00. Okay, assigns IP address 10.1.2.224. Okay, then quit it, enter interface again G001. So assign IP address 10.1.3.2.24. So quit again. So now you done the interface that's to assign for the router 3. The last one you need to make it for the router 3. Okay, so router 3, move to the router 3. Okay, so make sure you enter the interface G001. So assign the IP address is a 10.1.3.1.24. Okay, so after you land it, okay, we can proceed to our second step. So in our second step, we need to, in each of the routers, you need to create the area 0 and assign all the network into the area 0 there. Okay, now the same things, go to your router 1. Okay, how you going to enable the OSPF protocol, routing protocol? You just going to type OSPF. Okay, so make sure process by default is a 1 area 0 because they're asking you to create is a area 0. So you must going to enter the area 0. So make sure you're going to byte your network address. Okay, so the first one is a 10.1.1. So it's a 0.0 wildcard. Huh? So second is a network 10.1.4.1. Okay, also is exactly the same 0.0. So another one is your network 10.1.2.1 0.0.0.0. Okay, so after that you can returns, okay, to your interface there, or you can enter the quits to return one by one lah. Okay, the next one, the same things you need to do to enter your router 2. So going to create your OSPF, enter, create the area 0. So you need to buy your network 10.1.2.2. So it's a 0.0.0.0. Okay, then you need to move to the 10. Network 10.1.3.2. 0.0.0.0. Okay, then the lastly move to the router 3. Okay, quick. Okay, make sure to enter the OSPF, create the area 0. So you only byte the network 10.1.3.1 0.0.0. Missing 1 0.0. Okay, after you done all, now because you already enable the OSPF, so supposedly each of the routers they are connected, they should be able to dynamically routing your packet, data packet. So we can try, okay, you can go into quit, you can try to ping, okay, example the loopback interface on your router 1. So you try to ping 1.1.1. So you should getting the deploy. Okay, if you're not getting the deploy, that means something already you doing the wrong configurations already lah. Okay, or you can try to print another one. Okay, instead going to print on the loopback, you can try to ping the 10.1.2.1. So you supposedly to get the reply. If you did not get the reply, that means go back to troubleshoot whether you have configured wrongly your IP address there. Okay, so this one you can also go into ping on the loopback one. Okay, so you should getting the reply on it. Okay, so the next step before we go into configure the ACL, just now we mentioned on the router one, we will make it as a client. So we create a loopback 0, 1, and 2 to simulate a true client to be accessed. And at the same time, we are going to make the router 3 as a telnet. So now you need to move to your router 3 and enable your uh, it as your telnet server. Okay, so make sure you enter the system view. So you go into telnet server, make it enable. Okay, telnet server enable. Okay, so now the telnet have server have been enabled. Actually is by they have been enabled already. Okay, telnet server have been enabled. Okay, so after that, you are going to type the user interface. You are going to enter the virtual interface 0 to 4. Okay, so you were going to allow a multiple user starting from the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then you were going to set, okay, from the 0 until 4, I set the user privilege. Okay, level is 3. LEV 3. Okay, then I will going to set, okay, when the user want to log in, what is the password? So I will going to type set authentication password cipher. Okay, so here I mentions all the password. Okay, they will going to using is a cipher password authentication. So this one on here, this example they show you is a password authentication, but most of the times we going to enable is a AAA. So on next exercise part 2, we were going to explore on the AAA, but now you just going to enable is a password cipher. uh okay, cipher on here. Okay, so here you are going to enter. Sorry. You can follow the exercise to enter the password there. Okay, password 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now you can go into quit it. Okay, the next step you are going to define is to set up the ACL. So just now I mentioned on the during the class, okay, if you involve the destinations, okay, so what the ACL you need to apply is an advanced ACL. So the ACL number, okay, ACL number you should go into starting is a 3000. Okay, you can put 3001, 3002, it's up to you, but it should be starting from the 3000 and before and less than 4000. So that means the last value it should be a 3999. Okay, so you're going to put on it, then defines what is the rules. Okay, so now because we are using the telnet, right? So we will go into TCP. So rule 5, you will permit the protocol is a TCP. So the source we will going to allow is a 10 loopback 1, example 1.4.1. Okay, all should be matching, well cut 0.0 to the destinations. Your destination is your telnet server. So you're going to define your destinations 10.1.3.1, 0.0.0.0. So your destinations part, it should be equivalence. Okay, now because it's a telnet, you only allow them to access during the telnet. So telnet port number, it should be 83. You're not using less than LT or GT, but you're using the ports should be equivalent to a telnet port. Okay. This one I have to type the full sentence. Okay, you have to type the full sentence destination port. Okay, so after that, you were going to define another route 10. Okay, you will deny the others TCP connections lah. You only allowed the loopback one to connect. So route 10, you were going to deny TCP source any. Okay, then you were going to quit it. Okay, so now into your router. Now you just, whatever you have done is you just create the ACL rule. So you need to tell where is it you want to apply the ACL rule. You need to buy it. So where I want to apply, I will going to apply as a remove the access right. So I need to enter the user interface virtual. Okay, from the 04. Then ACL. Okay, because on here is I receiving. Okay. Remember in the class I mentioned the ACL you can going to apply inbound or outbound. Okay, but you looking on the positions of your router tree. So basically you are receiving the data packet on G001. So that means basically you need to configure as a ACL inbound. Okay, so you need to tell them, okay, by it, okay, for this interface, I want to apply the ACL 2000 inbound. Okay, so after that, okay, I already applied. So I can try to see what actually the ACL rules, whether I apply it successfully. So I will going to type it. So you can going to see, now you have two rules, okay? Because these two rules, rule 5 and rule 10, just now you apply it, okay? So you basically will go into apply it under your virtual interface there. Okay, now your router 2, you already done it. Okay, you apply the ACL. So this one is a first method. Okay, the second method, you can configure the ACL on your router 2 to allow your router 1 to log into router 2 through the Telnet. Okay, the same things you go to the router 2. Okay, make sure you enter is a system view. So you're going to create another 3000. You create another group lah. We name it as a 3001. Okay, so the same things you name it as a root 5. Okay, permit TCP source. Okay, so now you also only allowed the 4.1.1 0.0.0 whenever the destinations, okay, destinations go to a 10.1.3.1, okay, 0.0.0, then the destination port, okay, it should be equivalent only allows a telnet 23. Telnet, that means 23. So the same thing, you are going to create another rules 10 to deny the TCP for other sources. Okay, rule 10 deny TCP source any. Okay, so you will going to quit it. Okay, so now you just create the ACL rules under your router 2. The same thing, you need to apply it under your interface. Okay, so on which interface you will going to apply on here? On which interface? So the same things, okay, you were going to apply it under your inbound. So you were going to apply under your G00. So you need to enter interface G00. Okay, so this is another way how you going to buy it. You can type traffic filter inbound. So ACL 3001. Okay, 3001. Okay, or compared to the previously, you can go to the interface. Okay, and then you're going to buy it. Okay, on this one, you go into the interface and then you tell them the traffic. typo. Sorry, I did not notice the previous. I got the typo. Traffic also typo. Filter. Okay, now you can go into Create and then display your ACL 3001. So you should able to get the same rules on the just like your router 3 there lah. Okay, so in terms of the verifications, okay, you can go to your router 1. Okay, try go back to your router 1. Okay, then you can go into Telnet. Okay, you want to try to log in. So you will going to log in from the 10.1.1, okay, then to the 10 point to the Telnet server 10.1.3.1. Okay, because this interface you supposedly are not getting because loopback 0 we did not going to configure, so you supposedly not able to access when you go into trying to access using a Telnet. Okay, so you were going to get trying, but after that you should supposedly to get you are not able to access. Okay, this one you get you if you going to connect using the loopback 0, okay, which your IP address is a 10.1.1, you are not able to connect because you set up the rules. Okay, after the rule file, you only permit the 10.1.4.1 to access. But the others TCP connections they trying to access, you are going to deny. So the same things you can go into try, but now you're going to using your loopback 4. Okay, loopback 1. Okay, using a 10.1.4.1. So you're trying to connect. So you're supposedly able to access. So make sure you're going to enter a Huawei at 123. Okay, enter a Huawei at 123. Hey, this one I entered the wrong password. Okay, just now the password that I going to set up is a Huawei at 123. Make sure you put in the correct password. If not, they will keep popping up, ask you to enter. So if you enter the correct one, you supposedly to enter the router. That means you can access your router remotely and do the configurations lah. But remember the privilege that you're going to set up, what actually they can go in to do is only you granted is a user privilege level 3 only. Okay, so this one that's all for our part 1. Okay, the next step we will going to continue. Okay, make sure you're going to save all your configurations there. Then we will going to continue on our part 2. Okay, this one you can just going to check your display the current configuration. So you ensures all the elements that you are configured on here is correctly lah. Okay, so this one just now we have went through to check it, so no need I going to check one by one again. Just maybe on the router 3, you can going to see how the ACL it will be look like. Okay, so maybe on here I show you on the router 3. You can display current configurations. Okay, so on here you can put it. Okay, so you can go into say, okay, on the user interface on here, authentication mode, you set it as a password. But as what I said, we seldom using password. Most of the times we were going to set it using the AAA. So here you are setting up for the virtual terminals, which you are allowed them to access as a telnet. Okay, so you buy the ACL. Okay, so the user privilege is a level 3. So you set the authentication. So here, even though you set up the password is a Huawei at 123, but remember they were doing is a hashing. And no, sorry, this one is using a cipher. That means they are using is a encryption. Okay, if you're using a irreversible cipher, that means actually you apply the algorithm is a hashing. So hashing is a one way. Okay, but encryptions you can encrypt to get the ciphertext and decrypt to get back the plain text. Okay, so the virtual 1620, nothing you have done on it lah. Okay. So let's continue to our configurations for the AAA. So for the during the class, okay, we have went through the part 2 AAA. So AAA is stand for the authentications. That means you verify the credentials of the users. Okay, after you verified, okay, the credentials of the user, okay, based on the username and password or others biometric authentication factors, then you are going to authorize them to access any of the network services or network resources. Then you are going to depends, okay, which of the accounting modes that you are using. So recall back on the class. On the authentications, we have three modes. Okay, non-authentications, local authentications, and also the remove authentication. Same for the authorizations. But for the accountings, we only have a non-accountings. Okay, you doing no accounting, or you doing is a remove. We don't have a local accounting there. Okay, so on this exercise, we will going to do a very simple network topology, just using a two router, okay, connected, and then we trying to set up the AAA and then set up the AAA authentication scheme lah. Okay, so the step is very straightforward. Maybe 5 minutes you can complete already. Okay, but before we move it, you can go into save your configurations. Okay, make sure you also save your topology. So this one you can make it as a Lab07 lah. No need to follow that one Lab11. Lab07, save it. Okay, so this one and then create a new topology. Yes. Okay, so you can go into directly drop to router. Okay, so this one is depends on you which of the router versions that you want to using lah. Because you only have one RGE, you can using this one also AR. This one AR macam tak ada. FE only, they don't have, got two GE. So you can using on it. Okay, so this one you connect to a G00 or you want to follow G003 also can follow your preferences. Okay, so to do the things, okay, make sure you're going to start it. Okay, so this one we were going to name it as a router one. Always whenever you get the questions or even on the final exam, you always need to doing some of the demarcs labeling lah. Or if you are familiar looking on those IP address, then you can go into direct to configure it. But normally you should go into put it into your topology to ease your configurations there. Okay, so this one on here we will going to try is a local authentications. Okay, we were doing the local authentications under your router 2. Okay, let's try to do it. The same things always, okay, you need to assign and rename your devices. So this one sys, this one I forgot to rename. So the same things are for the UMS students, you need to base on your normal metric. PI23. So this one I'm router 2. So in the router 1, we have the interface G00. So assigns the IP address 10.0.12.1.24. Okay, go to your router 2. Do the same thing, enter your interface. Okay, so it will be a G00. Assign the IP address 10.0.12.2. Sorry, I forgot to type 24. Okay, so to configure your AAA, you need to enter your router system view. Okay, make sure you click from your G00. So to enable the authentications and authorization scheme, you need to enter a AAA view. Okay, now I want to set up is a authentications. Okay, so I will going to type the keywords authentications. Scheme. So I name it as a datacom. Okay. So after that, I will going to select, like just now I mentioned, for the authentications, you have a locals, you have a non-authentications, which we will never and seldom use it. Normally it's never lah, but seldom. Okay. Then you will going to do it. Another is a remove. But on here, we trying to summarize. If let's say you're going to make your routers as a Telnet server. Okay, you make your router as a Telnet. Okay, so you're trying to define the service type there. So you're trying to using is a locker. Okay, remember locker, that means you are involve the NAS. Okay, you did not going to involve the reduce or the Huawei terminal access controller, access control system, HWT, AC, ACS. Okay, now you enter already, you define your authentication scheme. So we will going to select the authentication mode is a locker. Cannot. Okay, authentication mode is a locker. Quit it. So the same things we were going to do on the authorization scheme. Okay, authorization scheme, you also name it as a SAM data com. Okay, so here I also going to select the authorizations mode. Okay, mode's got the dash. Is a locker. Okay, so after that, I will go into quit. So that means your next we're going to set as your AAA. So remember why we choose the locker. Most of the times we want to access and manage the devices. Okay, so now how I going to remember each of the devices, we will going to assign them the domain. Okay, if you did not assign by default, it will going to belong to a default. Okay, so now you enter the AAA. Okay, we need to tell them to which domains you need to put it. So here I going to type it is create a domain. We call it as a datacom. Okay, so we will going to add the user, assign the user to a domain. So before we assign, we need to go into create the domain name. We call it as a domain datacom. Enter your datacom domain. So the same things we were going to tell them which of the authentication scheme they should be using for the user under this domain. So we're going to apply just now the authentication scheme that we have created, datacom. Okay, and then we also going to determine, okay, the authorizations. Is a datacom also. Okay, so now you already create the domain. Okay, datacom. Then you go into determines. Under this domain, they were using the authentications and authorization scheme is a datacom. Okay, next we will going to create. Okay, you need to quit from the AAA. The domain interface. So you going to enter under your AAA view. So we need to create a local user. Okay. So the local user, most of the times you are going to contain the usernames. Okay. You are going to contain the alliance. Okay. So the alliance basically they will tell to which of the domains they will belong to. So for example, now I want to create a local user. I name it, the user is a HCIA, or example, most of the time is a student. So datacom. So they are belong to a datacom domains that you just created. Okay. So I will going to set what is exactly the password. The password mode I using is a cipher. So I going to set up the password is a HCIA datacom. So you should able to get add a new user there. Okay, so next things, okay, we will going to set, okay, example, the privilege, okay, and also the service types that the user can be accessed. So under the AAA, the same things, we were going to using a local user, okay, same things for the HCIA at datacom. I only to enable the service type is to Telnet, to access the Telnet. Okay, so you means the user for the HCIA users which belong to the datacom domains, they only can access using a telnet. Then we're going to set their privilege. The same things, okay, HCIA local user, HCIA datacom, but I going to set is a privilege level 3. Okay, so after that, I will going to quit my AAA view. Okay, I need to enable the Telnet server under my server 2. Okay, the same things, we will going, remember the Telnet always we were using a virtual interface. Okay, VTY 0 and 4, 0 until 4. Okay, then you are going to enable the authentication mode. You are using is a AAA. Remember just now on the previous part 1 exercise, we enable is a password. But now you are apply is a AAA mode. Okay, using the AAA. So after you enable it, okay, you can go into testing, okay, trying to log in under your but before you log in, basically you can go into create and then you can go into trying to display users. Okay, you can go into see lah, okay, how actually the user types that you are going to allow them to enter your uh to mana to enter your services there. Okay. So now you go back to your router 1. Okay, we were using your router once in order to access it. Okay, so go to your router 1. Trying to ping. So where you want to ping, you need to ping your 10.0.12.2, your Telnet server. So you will go into Telnet. And this one you no need to determine the source lah because you only got the one interface only. Okay, and one IP address only. So you can direct go into ping. Okay, so they will ask you to enter your user. So you need to tell them I'm the HCIA and then I belong to the domain datacom. Okay, so you need to enter the password. Okay, just now that you have defined, so the password it should be HCIA dash data com. HCIA dash data com. Sorry, this one I need to type the user. Okay, HCIA at data.com. Then so you supposedly after you enter the correct password, you are allowed to access the router too. Okay, this is how you're going to do. So you can go into do the checking on your configurations on the router one. Basically, you just going to display the current configurations. You should only checking on your IP address only lah. Okay, for your G000. Okay, on your G00 bukan E ya, G00. But for the router too, you can display your configurations. So basically, you were going to check under your AAA. Okay, you already defines your authentications. It's your datacom. Okay, datacom and authorization scheme is also a datacom. Okay, then you also going to set up. Okay, it's the local users. Okay, for the datacom here, you were going to specify is a ciphertext that you have using. So private edge service type it will be a telnet. Okay, then you will going to check also on your G000, you set up the IP address. Then make sure also you check whether you have enabled your telnets. Okay, server is to be enabled lah. Okay, and then your virtuals interface. Okay, you have enabled the virtual interface. Here you have enabled the AAA authentication mode. Okay, so that's all for our labs for today. So we still got another part 3 is a net configurations, but that one we will going to cover on next week after we go through the network address dissolutions, okay, translations, net, and also the network service applications topic. So that's all, and see you on next lab. Hands on. Bye bye.